We're now moving on to week 5 summative assignments. And our first lab is user-defined function max magnitude. And it shows this is the start of that, with that first lab. And what's key is that you've gone through Blackboard to get to this, as I demonstrated there. Otherwise it won't sync up properly to the gradebook. So define a function named max magnitude with 2 integer parameters. Okay, very important to remember that. Returns the largest magnitude value. Write a program that reads the 2 integers from the user, calls the function, okay, and that's how you call the function there, with inputs as arguments and outputs as the largest value. So your input is shown there, 5 and 7. That's what's going to go in the input here when we get to execute it. And this is the expected output. If that works correctly, then you'll be able to get your max points. So let's put in our code. So I remember starting the first column, and I'm starting with defining that function. And so here's the function's name, and I have my 2 parameters, integer x and an integer y. And I'm going to returns, okay, that's key, an integer largest value that I have defined. So by using that function, I have defined those right in here. So notice on the if then else, my proper indentation, and notice if the if statement is true there, I indent 3 to do the next step, and you notice the indentation there for the else, and then you notice the function indentation here as well. And then the put statement is indented in this case. Okay, so this is basically, all this right here is the call to the function. That's the function right there. And so when you go to do this, you have your 2 parameters as input. It returns the largest value you saw there. So what will happen is, if the absolute value of x is greater than the absolute value of y, the largest value is x. If that's not true, then the largest value is y. So what you have here now set up is you're making that function call, and this is where you see I have that set up. A function main, and this is very important. You have that defined there, and it returns nothing. And I have an integer x and an integer y that I have defined, and x is going to be set to the next input, and y is going to be set to the next input. Then basically you're going to output the values of the max here to output. And so what happens is, basically it's running this code here. This is what's actually running, gets the inputs, and then because you say put and you're calling this function, you're going to call that function, and so what happens is it comes up and runs through those parameters, the first parameter and the second parameter. That's your input 1, input 2 there, right? And it's going through this logic here to determine the return value, and that return value is the largest value right there. And so that's what's going to be output. So let's take a look at this and see how this works. I'm going to input that here. And let's go a lower speed so you can see exactly what's going on. Enter execution. And let's run. So it gets that, 5 and 7, and it goes there and it returns that value of 0. Now you see the 7 goes through. There's the 5 and 7. And again. So there you saw the input, right? And there is the output of 7. And that's basically what it returned. So in this case, the absolute value of x was 5 is not greater than the absolute value of y. So the largest value was y, which was 7, and that's what got returned here. That was the return statement there, and that's why you have an output of 7. So let's submit for grading. Once again, if you're stuck, take a look at the sample code I provided to guide you. And there's my 10 points.